everyone. Again, welcome to Unraveled. It's a pleasure to have you here. You guys released your recent album recently. How's the reception been so far?
The reception was very good until now. We had some reviews that were a bit off, but I think it always depends on who does the review and what kind of music those reviewers usually like. So I think a funny thing, we got some kind of not very good review from someone who really is on for Papa Roach, for example. So I think it's not really, we don't take it personally at all. So that's okay. But it's very interesting to see that we get different receptions. Yeah.
Now, for those who may not be familiar with a river crossing, could you tell us a few things about the band?
Yes, the band is, well, I think now around 13 years old. We started out as a more instrumental band, then moved on to do some more emo stuff. And then we moved on again and added some more electronic stuff. So we experimented quite a lot with instruments and different styles. And also we changed quite some musicians during that time. I am basically the only one from the founding fathers of
Wow.
of the band now, and in the end we ended up with what we have right now. So it's kind of post-rock because we're all pretty much into post-rock, but we like to make it a bit more interesting, so to speak.
That is very true. And, when someone sees post rock or post metal, maybe there's some sort of misconception and a preconceived idea about what they are going to listen. But I can honestly say that I was very pleasantly surprised by the outcome.
Thank you very much also for the review. It was a pleasure.
Now, Forsaken comes 4 years after Sediment. What went on in the meantime?
Well, in the meantime, we did quite some touring, and we wrote, of course, several new songs, and in the end, 6 of them made it up to the new album. So yeah, it was basically touring and writing new songs.
Okay, this sort of answers one of my following questions because you chose to release an album during the pandemic instead of sit on the material until the timing was a little better. Apparently, you didn't start writing the songs until actually, you started writing before the pandemic. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Well, I think about half of the album was ready before the pandemic even started. It wasn't yet completely recorded, everything, but the songs were ready. And the second half, we had ideas, we had fragments of the songs, and we had to put them together. And we did that last summer when we took some time off and worked on the songs again. I think Corona didn't really change that for us. We were really confident to release the album as soon as possible, even if we can't play it live for I don't know how long. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was the biggest challenge that you faced writing and recording this album?
For this album, we collaborated with Reto Burel, who is a producer and a friend of us, and he basically is not very much into post-rock. He was once on a gig with us, and he really was inspired by our sound, but he doesn't really listen to post-rock usually. He's also a singer and songwriter and plays more the Americana stuff. And I think the collaboration was very interesting because we wanted to get our sound a bit, as I said, a bit more interesting, less boring, less that repeating stuff that usually comes with post-rock. So I think the most interesting part was also to have the discussions between how much we would like to keep it post-rocky kind of, and take some compromise to go towards having a bit, some more interesting stuff in there, and Probably also lean a bit more towards pop. Could be.
Not pop, alt rock, I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Because it's not very poppy. It's pleasant to listen to, but no, I wouldn't call it pop.
All right.
It's not as bubbly. I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What would you say is the differentiation point between this album and your previous work?
I think one of the differences is also the quality of how we recorded all that stuff. The first album, Sediment, was recorded basically live without any click tracking or something. Yes, we had one or two overdubs, but it was basically a live album recorded in the studio. And this time now we tried to put quite some more effort into it. So we really recorded every instrument separately. We checked all the sounds. We experimented with different sounds, and well, that is basically not really possible if you record it live. So I think this is probably the main difference. Also, we had um, a very interesting mixer and master guy. It is Mike Watts from New York, who also did some quite astonishing work on some other bands, and we were really inspired by his sounds, and we wanted to sound, especially our drums, like the bands we like. Yeah.
Well, there are numerous influences on the album. What would you say are the 5 albums that collectively the band thinks are the best albums of all time?
Oh, that's hard, I think.
I know.
I think we can't really speak about albums. I think it's more about different styles because, for example, our drummer, before he entered our band, he really didn't know post rock, so it was really a fresh experience for him. And I think it was also interesting for us to have new influence coming from him because he's quite a good drummer and he plays a different style. So we do not get that typical post-rock drumming. So I think he listens more to alternative rock stuff. Um, I myself, I listen to a lot of post-rock as well as our bass player does. But I also listen to some electro stuff like Moderat from Germany or John Hopkins or all that stuff. And I myself, of course, I like things like Pink Floyd. Maybe you can hear it in the guitars as well a bit. And
Why would you say that?
well, it wasn't on purpose. It's just the sound of the guitar that I like this way. I think we are all huge fans of Thrice, for example. So I think that is an influence that helped us to develop the sound a bit further without um, having too much compromises. Because Thrice did that as well. They started out as a hardcore band and then moved on to some kind of post-hardcore with really big feelings and all that stuff.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
You chose to release new art during a very hard time. How important was it for you to create something that people could maybe relate to?
It was very important, and it was also important for us to produce something that is not only digital. You know, during the times of Corona, everything is digital, and nothing is really something you can get your hands on it. Unfortunately, that's also the case for us in terms of getting the vinyls. So they are still stuck somewhere, and code is holding it back. So we have to be patient again. But we wanted to achieve a different experience in terms of we added some more art stuff to the vinyl. We added some kind of posters for every song, and we would like to have people not only listen to the songs but also to enjoy the graphics and the art behind it. So I think this is I think this is also a reason why we wanted to release it nevertheless, even if it's a pandemic, because you can give something back to the people that is not only music, and it is something you can hold in your hand and have, just enjoy it a bit.
While we're on the subject, how do you see the resurgence of vinyl? Do you think it's a trend that will go away, or that it's something that made a very strong comeback and will stay here?
Well, I think it depends on the genre or on the type of listeners you have. I think if you're more in a genre like post rock and the more, how should I call it, more music loving people, not the consumers. I mean, there are people who really love music, who um, go out and buy tickets for concerts and try to promote bands and all that stuff. And there are the consumers who just go to Spotify and listen whatever. Well, in the past it was whatever was on the radio, but now it's whatever is on Spotify. And I think it's for those people who really appreciate music, I think vinyl is here to stay. So it was our decision as well to go for vinyl. We had discussions with our label as well, and we think that our genre really deserves vinyl. And yeah, I think because we're all also vinyl lovers, it was a sure decision for us. Do you also buy vinyls?
I do, yes.
All right.
Although, to be fair, I do it mainly with the bands that I really, really like. And if I find something on a secondhand market that it's in a pretty good condition, of course, that I say, oh, I'm so gonna add this to my collection. Like, I think one of my favorite finds was a Lita Ford album. I mean, I like my glam rock, not gonna lie. And the album was in excellent condition, so it was a no-brainer. I got it. I don't listen to it often because I don't want to hurt it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a prized possession.
But it's not really a comparison to CDs, right? Right.
Although I would love to be able to listen to some of those albums on CD while driving.
All right, yeah, that's a good point.
That's the only compromise, I think, for vinyl.
Yeah.
That yes, you get a download code with the new releases, but you're not always able to listen to them when you're on the move. Like if a band is not on Spotify, if it's a punk band, an underground punk band that's not on Spotify or Bandcamp or somewhere where you can stream the music.
Right, right.
Now, to continue on the subject, the artwork for the album is very brilliant. Um, I read a post that you made earlier today talking about it, that it's a diamond, and diamond consists of carbon, which is basically the essence of all living things.
Yeah.
And I really like the pictures inside the diamond. What led you to the choice of those pictures and that collage?
Well, in the past, we were very pushy about having an artwork like a tree, but I think that's something everyone does nowadays. Everyone really loves trees, and we of course do as well. But we are pretty passionate about nature, and we wanted to somehow include nature in our artwork without getting it cheesy or very obvious. So that is the reason why it is not very obvious. It's more like in a geometrical kind of cut style, and it is artistic at the same time, but it is also some kind of organic, I think. So this was, I think this was the intention behind it. But of course, it was not all our idea. It was also the one from our designer, Mansing. Yeah.
I think it's lovely. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and I could easily see it, on a shirt, like something not very pompous, but if you know what you're looking at, you can, nod at the person, like, hey, I know those guys. I like this.
Yeah.
What were the main influences behind the sound of this album, lyrically and musically?
Lyrically, I think all the text texts are written by our vocalist Felix, and he tends to go a bit personal and very kind of foggy, I think, with the lyrics. That is fine. So he's more of a pessimist kind of person, and I think that is being reflected a bit in the lyrics as well. But in the end, there's always hope, of course, and I think that is something we also try to produce as a feeling with our album and with our sound, so that yes, we have some sad parts, we have some very sentimental parts, but we also try to give it some hope. So we try to maybe change some chords and maybe change the intensity, something that really, in the end at least, tries to uplift you a bit. Yeah.
But don't you ever fear that someone may misinterpret the lyrics?
Well, that could be, of course. I think that is always very, very dangerous. But as you say, it's interpretation, and it's not a statement that we really take. Um, does something come up in your mind that you think is very suspicious or something?
Not suspicious, but yes, I mean, reading the lyrics, I was a little blown away by how straightforward they are. I can't express it correctly, so I'm
Okay.
sorry for that.
Okay.
But yeah, some things were pretty dark, especially when we live in dark times.
Yes, but not in an
Question.
offending way.
No, no, no.
Okay. Okay.
No, no, no.
Yeah, and of course it is somehow autobiographic as well. So um, I think Felix, well, he's the oldest of us. He's reaching, I think, 50 years this year. You won't believe it. Yeah, right.
From his voice, no.
Yes, and even for his for how he looks. So no, you wouldn't really believe it, but sometimes we just feel that he really was through um, also some rough times, and I think this is a way how he tries to
Oh,
yeah, just how he tries to get rid of it somehow.
I see. Why did you choose the title Forsaken, and what does it represent to you?
Well, this was entirely the choice of Felix as well, and I think he tried to also reflect the lyrics a bit. So yes, it is kind of depressing, um, but in the end as well, it is Forsaken. But I think in combination with the artwork, it should not really be that hard, I think.
What is passion for you? How would you define it?
Passion. I think passion is if you go for it, if you go for something you really love, even if everyone says, well, yeah, just do it. I think it's not really important, or no one really is interested in that stuff, or something like that. If you nevertheless do it, and you really feel that it is the right thing you do. I mean, we could do some more popular music. I mean, post rock in Switzerland is like nothing. If we look at touring and playing gigs, yeah, I think we're not really interested in Switzerland because no one really listens to post rock. So passion is, I think, try to look further and try to remove those boundaries of whatever it is. May it be country or borders or something. Yeah.
If your life had a soundtrack outside of the band, what would it be?
Um, hmm. I think sometimes I can identify just with some songs or some bands. For example, you know, Ocean Size.
No.
That band? No. Okay, that's a Scottish band. Well, it was a Scottish band. Um, really cool stuff, and they had also some kind of emotional sounds and albums, but also really rough parts. And I think I would identify my life or myself with this band, although I really never had it very rough. I mean, I live in Switzerland and I've quite a good life, so I can't really complain. But just for the feeling, I think I can identify very much with that album or that band.
Well, I will look it up for sure
All
because
right.
I'm very curious now.
All right.
Continuing with the hard questions. If a river crossing were members of the Spice Girls, what would be your Spice names?
I think I would be probably Dark Spice because they always joke that I run around with black hoodies, black Sea Shepherd hoodies, and well, not at the moment, but playing live and being on the tour, I really like it to, feel a bit cozy, kind
I
of.
support that.
Yeah. And
Go
they
for
always
it.
say, "Yeah, you just look very very angry and all this stuff." So I think they would call me Dark Spice or something. Then our drummer René, I think he would be Girly Spice or something. I think is well, he's the youngest and he's a drummer. Yeah, and you somehow you kind of feel it sometimes because he's like woman magnet sometimes. Yeah, all the girls like him. I don't know why, but that's just fact.
Oh my
And
god.
of course, Felix we have, and he is probably he would be Old Spice because he's old. And having Livio, the bass player, he's the only father. So he would be Daddy Spice.
That's a first, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could have a 1 minute phone conversation with a younger you, what age would you call and what would you tell yourself?
Mm, I think I would call myself being like probably 13 or 14 years old and just tell him that he should oh, go for the music he really likes and just start the instrument he really likes because I just dropped somehow by accident into playing guitars and bass. So that was kind of a life changer for me. And this is really the reason why I moved to a different city and why I started new friendships. And I mean, somehow it's developed my whole all my friends were suddenly just musicians. So I think that's a very good thing. So if you're not really attached just to the people you have to know because of school, for example, but instead you really make new friends based on interest. Yeah,
True, and you are surrounded by like-minded creative individuals, so that's very important for you to be inspired.
exactly. Yes, yes.
Okay, your house is on fire, and you only have time to grab 3 items before you leave. Pets and family are safe. What do you take?
Um, I don't think that there's really something I would cry over. I mean, everything would be replaceable somehow. Well, of course, yeah, there are some photos and all that stuff, but I really do not ever look at them, but I just have them. Yeah, they're just for memories for later, I think. Probably I would go for the guitar as well. I think,
There you go.
yeah, I think I would go for the guitar and try to save it, not because it's very expensive, but there's some emotional attachment, of course. And Yeah, I think that's about it. Basically, the guitar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you have any family, I don't know, heirlooms that you'd like to take? Something from your great grandfather?
No, not really. Not really.
That's really a first because
Okay.
most people are like, oh, I would take my laptop, I would take my guitar and my wallet, I would grab a pair of shoes, something like that.
No, I think
There's
no,
always something material that you wouldn't want to perish.
no, I think main thing is that you are safe and you do not really try to hold on to some material stuff that maybe you risk your life because of it. It wouldn't be worth it. I think it's more worth um to live and to yeah, despite the lyrics, you see. I think it's more important to live and try to not get harmed, so physically as well as psychologically, I think.
Wow. Well, and on that note, this is the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you very much. You too.
And hopefully, we'll get to see you guys on the road soon.
Yes, I would hope so. I hope to. Yeah. Thank you very much for the interview. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day
You too. Thanks.
and take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.